Hey guys, today I'm going to narrate a super thrilling horror movie called Cobweb. You guys can watch this full movie on Amazon Prime. But if you're busy and don't have the time to sit through the entire 1.5 hour runtime, no problem at all. I'll summarize the complete plot and story for you right here in about 15 to 20 minutes. So just sit back, relax, and let's dive deep into this creepy tale with every detail included. The movie opens 1 week before Halloween. We meet a young boy named Peter who is heading off to school, but he doesn't look happy at all. Everything around him feels like it's moving in slow motion. While all the other students in class are laughing, playing, and getting excited because Halloween is so close, Peter stays sad and distant, his mind clearly not focusing on having any fun. At home, his mother tries teaching him how to play the piano, but Peter is playing with a ball instead. It really seems like the loneliness and being alone is what's making him so down all the time. That night, while Peter is sleeping peacefully in his bed, he suddenly hears a knocking sound. He sits up on the bed and searches around to figure out exactly where the sound is coming from. That's when he realizes the sound is coming from the wall on the side of his room. Since the noise is still quite low and faint, he tries to go back to sleep. But then he hears a loud scraping sound from the other side of the wall. Completely freaked out, he runs toward the door, but the sound suddenly stops. He walks back slowly toward the wall, presses his head right against it to listen carefully, and knocks twice to check. As soon as he knocks, the wall responds by knocking back twice, which scares him a lot. Peter rushes straight to his parents' room and tells them that he hears strange sounds coming from the other side of the wall in his room. His mother comes with him to check the wall, but when she listens, it does not make any sound at all. She comforts him by saying it's an old house, so it must be like rats or something, and tells him not to worry because he is just imagining things. Next day, as usual, the boy gets out of the house and gets on the school bus. Every kid on the bus is all excited, but he is not. The same thing continues in class. Everyone is playing and having fun except Peter, who is always down. That's when the school principal comes to his class and announces that Miss Devine is their substitute teacher until Mrs. Butler comes back. Then classes are over, every kid goes to recess, and Miss Devine is decorating the classroom for Halloween. When she turns around, she sees Peter still sitting there. She gets panicked because no one should be in the class now, but Peter is there. Miss Devine asks why he is not at recess. Peter says he doesn't like recess. The reason is simple: since he is a quiet boy, he gets bullied a lot by the other students. So she lets him stay in the classroom and asks what he is going to wear on Halloween. He says he doesn't have any idea. Suddenly a spider crawls on his bench, which frightens him, but Miss Devine helps him trap the spider in a glass and lets it out through the window. Now this scene has a deeper meaning, but you will understand it only at the very end of the movie. Now it's night. Peter is having dinner with his parents. His parents are quite different. They are not active or have any excitement, just like Peter. They are quiet. Peter says to his mother that he wants to wear something on Halloween and wants to go trick-or-treating like the other kids, but his mother denies him. Then his father starts telling him about an old house down at the end of the lane with boarded windows. His mother signals the father to stop, but the father says Peter has to know eventually and tells his wife so. He continues to his son, saying that a girl lived in that house before Peter was born. One day when she went out for Halloween to trick-or-treat, she disappeared, and no one knows what happened to her. We don't know if it is true or if he is just saying it to scare Peter off from going out. After dinner, Peter goes to sleep in his room. He turns on his torch and places it in front of the wall. When he closes his eyes, the wall bends inwards, and suddenly a small girl's voice comes from the other side of the wall calling Peter. He gets scared and screams, calling for his father. The little girl says don't tell him. But as soon as he screams, his father comes inside. Peter says he heard someone on the wall. His father doesn't believe him but still goes and checks it. When he checks, he doesn't hear anything, so he says maybe mom is right and it may be rats. So the next day his father brings Peter to their backyard to take rat poison. He places it on every corner and edges of their house. But Peter does not like the fact that they are poisoning the rats and killing them. His father comforts him by saying sometimes we have to do things we don't like to protect our family. Then at school Miss Devine is narrating a story and she sees Peter painting a weird image on his paper, which concerns her. So she goes to his house in the evening. When she rings the bell, his mother comes out and speaks to her. Miss Devine introduces herself, saying she is the substitute teacher. The mother replies that she was a teacher too once. Miss Devine asks if Peter is alright and shows the painting Peter made. She says every student paints normally for Halloween except Peter, so she came to meet him personally. But the mother says Peter has an overactive imagination, that's all, and closes the door. Through their conversation, Peter's mother seems a little suspicious, but we don't know exactly how or why yet. Then the mother goes angrily to Peter's room and confronts him. What is this? Why are you asking help from a stranger? This is your room, why do you need help? For that Peter whispers silently, I did not ask for help, it is her asking for help, but his mother can't hear it. She says his imagination is going to be trouble for him one day. In the night once again a knock sound comes from the wall and a little girl says, "Wake up, Peter." He wakes up and the little girl says, "Don't be scared, I just want to talk." Peter tells her to be quiet, she is just his imagination, not real. Then the girl says maybe, maybe not. But you could use a friend because I need a friend too. But if you don't want, I will leave. Peter says wait, don't go. I'm sorry. Please stay. We can talk. From this we can see that he really wants a friend but can't have one, maybe because he is a quiet person or because his parents won't let him. And we still don't know if the little girl is real or just his imagination. Next day he is painting on a pumpkin and Miss Devine speaks to him in a friendly way, saying that this pumpkin is her favorite. She is trying to help Peter become a normal kid. But a kid from the class doesn't like Miss Devine speaking to Peter, so when school is over the kid breaks Peter's pumpkin right in front of him. In the night he cries on his bed. The little girl from the wall asks him what happened and why he is crying. Did someone hurt him? He says Brian bullies him every day. The little girl says I believe in you. You should stand up for yourself. So next day he complains to Miss Devine, which makes Brian come to him and apologize in front of the whole class, which embarrasses Brian a lot. When school is over, Peter can hear the little girl's words from yesterday night telling him to show Brian that he is not afraid of him. So Peter follows Brian after school, and when Brian is near the steps he pushes him down, which breaks Brian's leg. Brian screams in pain. After that in the principal's office, Carol, Peter's mom, argues with the principal that Peter will never do this, it's just an accident. But it doesn't matter because the principal expels Peter from the school. And in the night at the dining table his father is so mad at him because he is expelled. He asks what happened. Peter says I didn't mean to push him. His father says we are not that kind of family that solves our problems with violence. Where is this behavior coming from? That's when Carol says about the painting that Peter painted. He asks what kind of picture, and she says a child asking for help, which scares his father. We don't know why a picture scares him. He asks Carol why she didn't say it before, and for that she says she didn't want him to jump to conclusions, which confuses us more. He asks Peter why he drew that. Peter says because he really heard her. His father screams angrily and says no you did not hear her, and grounds him. Carol gets panicked and orders Peter to go to his room, but the father says no, he is grounded and should go to the basement. He moves the fridge and there is a door behind it. But Peter is not going because he is scared, so his father drags him to the basement. Carol says we do this because we love you. Then they go out and close the door to the basement. In the basement Peter is alone in the dark and he cries. He asks if the little girl is there but there is no reply. Then the camera moves to Miss Devine in school. The principal asks her why she went to Peter's house, are they abusing him? If not, we can't do anything, so don't get personally invested. She says Peter's mother Carol has something off about her. The principal says that once a girl disappeared from this neighborhood, so that's why she is overprotective. In the basement Peter sees a chain connected to a grill door in the floor, and inside there is a pit. He sees a black shadow far down below the grill door. When he tries to look closer he can see that there is a doll down there. In school Miss Devine is searching who was the girl that disappeared on Halloween that the principal was talking about, which concerns her more about the safety of Peter. She thinks that his parents are abusing him, so she goes to their house once again. Peter's parents invite her for a drink inside the house. She sees that Mark, Peter's father, is holding a hammer in his hand. When he hands her a coffee, his hand is bleeding, but he says that he is renovating something, so a nail caused this, it's not a big deal. But Carol doesn't like Miss Devine coming here, so she asks what's the problem with her and why she comes here even after he is expelled. Miss Devine says she is here to check on him and asks if she can see him. But Mark denies her request, saying that he is grounded in his room. Carol starts to get mad and says, "You think we are hurting him?" While their conversation is going on, Peter hears Miss Devine's voice and goes to the basement door and yells, but outside the washing machine is running so she can't hear. As she is going outside, the washing machine stops and she hears a knock sound behind the fridge, but Mark says it's only the washing machine sound. Devine goes outside, but she confirms something is going on with the parents. Night comes. Carol made cupcakes for him and goes to the basement and says you can get outside now. Mark asks him if he reflected on his behavior down there. Peter says yes. Carol says you don't need to go to school anymore, since she is a teacher she will teach him from home. Then they help him go to bed. As soon as they leave the room, Peter runs to the wall to speak with the little girl. He knocks the wall and says, "Talk to me." After some time the little girl replies, "I'm worried about you." Peter says his parents locked him in the basement. She replies, "Yeah, I knew. You have to be careful with them, they are not what they seem." Peter says, "I want to see you," but she says no, she has been here for too long and he wouldn't like the look of her, he will scream and get them caught. But Peter says, "No, I will not scream, I promise." So the little girl says there is a hole behind the wallpaper in the wall, see through that. He sees the hole and throws a ball inside, then he sees through the hole. Suddenly he sees an eye from the other side, which scares him. He asks who she is. She says, "I'm your sister. I have been waiting for you until you get big enough for you to move the wall clock because behind there is a room and our parents trapped me there. I want you to help me get free from there." Peter says, "No, you're scaring me." For that the little girl says you should be, because mom and dad are evil and they will do the same thing they did to me to you. Then at night he hears a loud knock. When he wakes up he thought it was coming from the wall, but no, it's coming from his door. Then the door opens by itself. He saw his mom walking from one room to another. Then he saw his father at the side of his room standing still, looking at him creepily. He says, "Look what you have done to your mother." And as soon as he says that, his mother runs toward him in a creepy way and chokes him. Suddenly he wakes up, it's just a nightmare. Carol is holding him and comforting him. Carol asks what the nightmare was about, but he says he doesn't remember, because his sister in the wall said that their parents are dangerous. Then the next night he asks his sister, "If you're behind the clock room, then how are you here in my room?" She says, "I escaped. I scratched and clawed my way to you. Mom and dad hate me. Once I'm not useful to them they will kill me and they will put you in the wall." But Peter is not believing her, saying they won't do it and they will not kill anybody. She says they have already killed someone. "Go and dig in our backyard, you will find what's buried there." Tomorrow he digs the garden in the backyard when his parents are not there and he finds a skull, which freaks him out. He finds out his parents are not normal parents as they claim. Carol comes from the clock room, she sees through the window and finds that Peter is doing something in the garden in the backyard, but before she can come down he buries everything. When Carol comes to the garden and yells at him, he says, "I'm here to pick a pumpkin to carve it for Halloween." He escaped somehow. He goes to his sister in the wall and tells her what he found. Now the sister says the truth. One Halloween a trick-or-treater came to their home, but that girl found out that Peter's sister was trapped in this house and tried to help her, but our parents found out and killed her. Now we know about the story where the kid disappeared on Halloween, but she didn't disappear. Carol and Mark killed that kid and buried her in the backyard. And now the sister says they are going to kill her like they killed the other girl. But Peter says, "I will save you. I will free you and after that we will run away. We will be a family." The sister asks how. For that Peter says, "I have somebody who can help us," and we can see he holds Miss Devine's phone number in his hand. He goes up to his parents' room while Carol is carving the pumpkin and he calls Miss Devine and asks for help. Then he hears a creak sound behind him and when he turns, his mother is standing there angrily. The phone rings. Carol answers the phone and Miss Devine says Peter called her. Carol replies, yeah, indeed he called you because he misses you and I told him to give you a phone call, but he is shy so he ran away. Don't worry, Miss Devine. And Carol says Happy Halloween and cuts the phone. Then she drags him to his room and scolds him, but when she reaches the room she finds the hole in the wall where Peter and his sister speak, and that's what scares her. She walks along the wall panicking and asks, what did she say to you? The wall clock rings. Carol says, whatever happens from now on it's your fault, and wait until father comes home. In the night Peter's sister speaks through the wall and says, I heard everything. They are going to kill us. You have to do something. And when Peter goes downstairs he sees his parents are arguing. When they sees him he runs to his room, then his father comes to his room and says, I need you tomorrow in the garden. Tomorrow, which means Halloween. Today, Mark and Peter are in the garden. They see all the pumpkins are dead because of blight, so Mark orders him to remove all the pumpkins. Then we see a van stopping in front of Peter's house, and inside the van we can see Brian and his friends. I think they are here to take revenge on Peter for what he did to Brian, but they didn't go inside, they are just waiting for the correct time. In the night during dinner they are having soup, I think, and as usual it's quiet. Then the doorbell rings and Carol gets mad and goes out. She sees kids are there for trick or treat but she yells at them to get out of here. In the dining table Mark says to Peter to eat the food and don't play with it. While eating, Mark feels his soup tastes different, so he asks Carol if she did something different today because it tastes like cinnamon. But Carol says no. As they are eating Mark finds that Peter is not eating, and suddenly he realizes where that cinnamon taste is coming from. He asks Peter, did you do something? Tell me the truth, what have you done? And he yells now, what did you do? For that Peter says, you hurt my sister. Carol is confused and Mark is like, oh my god. Mark asks Carol to call 911 but his stomach starts to hurt. From this we can understand Peter mixed rat poison into their soup and that's why he didn't eat. When Carol tries to call, Peter has already cut the wire. Suddenly Mark vomits blood on the dining table, then he falls down unconscious. Carol picks a knife and starts chasing Peter to the stairs, but then she starts to vomit blood too and passes out, but suddenly she moves and tries to hurt him, but he pushes her down the stairs. He goes down, and sees that when Carol fell she accidentally stabbed herself. When he picks the key from her, she grabs his legs and says don't let her out, but he doesn't listen to her and goes up to the clock room. There we can hear his sister asking, did you do it? Are they gone? He says I think so. Then she asks him again, do you have the key? And he says yes. Okay, open the door behind the clock, but it's heavy so be careful, she says. He gives his full strength to push the clock to the side, but since it's so heavy it falls down and breaks. Then we see a small door at bottom of the wall, he kneels down and unlocks it, but suddenly the door creates a loud noise, so he runs back a little, the door opens slowly. From inside Peter hears heavy gasping. He gets scared and runs to his room, but as he runs we can hear a wicked laugh from inside the door and the voice is different from his sister, it's menacing. He runs to his room and locks the door from inside. From inside the door a long creepy hand comes out and the sister goes straight to Peter's room and tries to open the door from outside, but Peter is not letting that thing in. The voice which we heard like a little girl now changes completely to a mature scary voice. It says good boy Peter and lets out a raspy growl like a monster. We can see its body down the door and the figure looks scary. She asks, what was it like seeing them die, and then the doorbell rings. We can hear kids saying trick or treat, and the sister says, just like the girl in the garden. Now it confuses us, she said that their parents killed the girl, but from this response we question if what she said is even true. And down there the monster dragged Carol's body. Then we hear Brian say, Peter come down, we are here to say hi. So the trick-or-treaters are none other than our Brian and his friends who are here to take revenge. Their timing is so wrong. Outside they are waiting and the door opens itself slowly. They go inside and start searching for him. One of the kids goes up to Peter's room and another is breaking the stuff in the house. One is in the kitchen and sees the blood on the dining table. Brian, who's on a crutch, falls at the entrance by slipping on blood. Then camera moves to the person who breaking the piano. We can see the monster on the wall behind him and crawling over the wall like a lizard. The one breaking the stuff sees a hair on the piano he just broke. As he comes closer, the hair falls to the other side. And when he gets close to the piano, a hand comes from below and pulls his legs, and the blood splats everywhere, and he screams, which alerts everyone in the home. Then a stair door opens near Brian where he fell, and he saw the dead bodies of Peter's parents. A second guy in the kitchen screams and the house door closes itself. The guy in the kitchen tries to run, but the monster grabs his leg and smashes him up and down again and again, and pulls him inside. We can see the monster is crawling on the ceiling, only its hair is visible, and it's running in circles around Brian, which is scary to watch. And everything is silent, and suddenly spiders fall on Brian and he tries to escape, but the monster gets him. Then the man at Peter's room hears Brian screaming, so he comes out to see what's happening.
Brian!
He stands near the stairs and calls for Brian, but the monster rapidly crawls on the wall toward him and attacks him. Peter hears the man screaming outside. The camera moves to Miss Devine. She is on the way to check on Peter since he called her before in the morning. She is a good teacher, but she doesn't know what she is getting into. In the house, the monster is playing with the intruder in front of Peter and then beheads him. The monster comes to Peter's room and goes on top of the bed while Peter is below the bed. He is frightened. Then the monster slowly shows her head upside down from above the bed and says, "When you were born, they were happy. When I was born, they screamed. Dad made a pit for me first, then he made a cage and locked me. When you sleep in this warm bed, I sleep in cobwebs with rats. There I learned to climb, learned to bite, learned how to make you do what I want." Then she drops the carved pumpkin from above, and inside it is the head she just beheaded. Peter screams and she says, "Trick or treat," and suddenly she drags him as he screams and begs to let him go, but she doesn't care. She drags him to the clock room where she was trapped and locks him there. Now we know the reference of the scene where the spider was trapped in the bottle by Miss Devine before in the classroom. It symbolically says that Peter will be trapped like that spider in the future. But the story does not end here, because there is one puzzle piece left: Miss Devine. She came to the porch of the house, sees the door opened, and enters inside. She sees the blood everywhere, and then she hears a little girl crying. She sees a shadow in the kitchen. She goes there, but the shadow moves. She sees lots of blood in the kitchen. She freaks out and tries to call the cops. That's when she sees a hair moving at bottom of the fridge, and she goes to check, but the monster comes from behind and attacks her leg, and she falls down. She crawls on the floor and she sees the dead bodies, and then she sees the monster also crawling at the back. So she moves fast and gets hold of an iron rod to attack her, but the monster disappears. Then she somehow runs to the door to escape. That's when she hears Peter's voice saying, "Run. Escape from here." But she doesn't get out. She turns around and starts to search for Peter. She hears the voice in his room. When she goes there, she sees his hand in the hole in the wall where his sister speaks to him. Before, the monster is just playing with Miss Devine, but when the monster realizes that she is going for her brother, she starts to move fast. Before she could get into the room, Miss Devine closes the door and moves a drawer in front of the door. She asks, "What is that thing?" and Peter says, "It's my sister." Miss Devine starts to break the wall with the help of the rod. When the monster realizes that she is going to get her brother out, she crawls fast to the clock room and unlocks it and goes inside. Peter says, "She is coming for me. You should escape." But Miss Devine says no and starts to break the wall. The monster is crawling fast inside the walls, but before she could get to Peter, Miss Devine broke the wall and dragged him outside. They start to run, but Peter goes to the clock room to take the key from the door, and they both run to the entrance. Peter unlocks the doors and opens it. Miss Devine runs outside, but before Peter could get out, the monster grabbed his hair from above and dragged him inside the house in front of Miss Devine as Peter is screaming. The scene ends here. Then the camera shows his face. He wakes up and sees that he is in the pit that he saw when his parents grounded him in the basement. And now he sees the doll beside him and he picks it up. It is named Sarah. Now we know the monster's name. Suddenly a torchlight turns on from the top in the basement and the monster comes in, crawling upside down the pit and getting closer to him. He asks, "Why do you look like that?" and the monster replies, "Not all children will be perfect as you are, Peter. I was born this way and no one loves a monster." And they finally show the monster's face and it's scary as hell. Then we can hear Miss Divine calling for Peter. The monster closes his mouth. Miss Divine comes down the basement and sees the grilled gate on the floor. She says, "I don't know what you are, but if you hurt him I will fucking kill you." As soon as she says that, in a fraction of a second the monster climbs up and goes to her and attacks her other leg and makes her fall down. Then she goes near Miss Divine to kill her, but her hair is so long it falls into the pit. So Peter uses the hair to climb on it. Because of that she can't kill Miss Divine and she slowly starts backing down. When Peter comes up, Miss Divine takes the rod and attacks her again and again and pushes her down the pit. As soon as she falls down she starts to climb up fast, but before she could come out Peter closed the iron grill and locked it down. And when they try to get out the monster changes her voice to a little girl and says, "Peter, please, you are my brother. It's in our blood. You killed Mom and Dad. You're just like me." And Peter screams and says, "No, I'm not like you." The monster's voice changes back to the mature, creepy, raspy voice.
"Really think this is gonna keep me down here? Every night, when you lie in bed, you wonder if you locked the door, or saw a shadow move. Every creak, every groan, every tap in the wall, you'll think of me. Your family, Peter. I will always be with you. Always."
And the movie ends here. Hey guys, so that was the horror movie Cobweb. Man, what a twisted and intense ride from start to finish. This film does an excellent job building slow burn tension with those wall knocks and the mysterious sister, then explodes into full-on chaos and gore in the final act. The atmosphere feels claustrophobic and creepy throughout, especially in that old house with all its hidden rooms and secrets. The acting is solid, particularly the kid playing Peter and the way the parents give off those unsettling vibes. The practical effects for the monster and the kills are brutal and effective, and that symbolic spider scene tying back at the end was clever. The story keeps you guessing the whole time about what's real and who's telling the truth, with some genuine shocking moments and a strong emotional undercurrent. One thing that really stuck with me is the sister. I actually feel sorry for her and what she went through because of her parents. She was born different, locked away, treated like a monster, and forced to survive in horrible conditions with cobwebs and rats. We can see she doesn't try to kill Peter, she is indeed trying to protect him, but in her own twisted and broken way. That makes the whole tragedy hit even harder. Also, about the girl who disappeared on Halloween and the skull Peter found in the garden, I only found out the full truth after watching the movie a second time. The missing girl was a trick-or-treater who came to the house years earlier. Sarah, the sister, had briefly escaped her prison at that time. The girl saw Sarah and tried to help her or tell someone about the locked-up sister. That's why Sarah killed her, to stop her from exposing the family's dark secret. Sarah then lied to Peter and blamed the parents for the murder. The parents only buried the body in the backyard to cover everything up and protect their secret. When Sarah says, just like the girl in the garden, during the ending, it confirms she was the real killer. From my point of view, this movie is a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it delivers strong horror, mystery, and emotional depth that stays with you after the credits roll. If you liked the story, subscribe, like, and hit the bell icon.